Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to today's episode of Let's Be Honest. Today, we're going to start from the beginning, and I'm not talking about that childhood trauma that landed you in therapy, because we can go on and on about that. What I am talking about is the day you were diagnosed. I want to address this because that day can bring a flurry of emotions. None of them right, none of them wrong, but a lot. So when you get diagnosed, you might feel a sense of relief, right? It's very much like what I've been feeling has a name. It's tangible. Then, of course, there might be a feeling of hope like, heck yes, I am going to go get treatment. This is going to be awesome. I am going to fight this thing. There could be fear. So it's more along the lines of, what does this mean for me? Like, how is this going to change my life? I'm scared to know this information, and I'm scared because it's unknown, right? This is the first time you're hearing about it. There could be anger. Why is this happening to me? I don't understand. I'm a good person. What caused this? There can be shame. There could be shock. There can be confusion. The most important thing to remember is that all of these emotions are valid. For instance, I remember when I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and anxiety. All right, doc, tell me something I didn't know. I had felt that for years. Then there was the time that I was diagnosed with OCD. After explaining my intrusive thoughts to my therapist, she came back, said, "You have obsessive compulsive disorder." Sure, that meant another medication. But more importantly, it meant that the voice in my head that was giving me those intrusive thoughts could be silenced, or at least become quieter. Then, on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, there is the day that I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Up until this point, I had done my research on all mental illness, right? Because I had become an advocate. So I knew pretty much everything. And I knew that borderline personality disorder has probably the biggest stigma in the mental health arena, and is also one that isn't really understood. It was a disaster the day I found out. I'm just going to put that out there, because at the time, I had been having a conversation with my therapist, and I had explained a situation, and she said matter-of-factly, "Well, that's how people with borderline personality disorder sometimes react. That's normal." And I was like, "Well, who has borderline personality disorder?" She says, "You do." In her defense, I am basically a walking DSM book. That's the book that they have of all the disorders that help them diagnose you. So her thinking that we had already discussed this diagnosis is completely acceptable. But I was immediately in the shocked phase. I began to cry. I ended the session and said, "I'm leaving." That was it. There was no more discussion about it. When I got home, I Googled for days upon days upon days. And let me tell you, anything on Google, anything on the internet about borderline personality disorder makes us out to be monsters. And it made me disgusted with myself because I couldn't understand how I didn't know this. But more importantly, I wasn't relating to anything that people were saying about this disorder. But we don't need to go into that. I will go into that in future episodes. My point of this episode is being diagnosed with a mental illness is difficult. It's scary. And there is absolutely, I'm going to say it again, there is absolutely no right or wrong way to deal with it. It's basically much like the illness itself, right? It's going to hit everyone differently, and comparing yourself to others might be the worst thing that you can possibly do in this scenario. Additionally, and I will give this warning, I don't recommend Googling it, but if you must Google it, because Google has all the answers, please, 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 please rely solely on the information from reputable sources. So organizations, mental health organizations like NAMI or the National Institute of Mental Health, mentalhealth.gov, and others like these. And what I'll do is I will actually place the resources on a page at the end of this episode as well as in the description so that you have easy access to them. I just want you to remember that no matter what your mental health diagnosis is, one thing is for certain. Are you listening? I hope you're sitting down. I hope you're writing this down. You are a badass for waking up and fighting each and every day. So if you've been diagnosed recently, or even if it's been months or years, and you want to talk about it, do me a favor. We can start conversations on this video, on any video that I post. It is an open and stigma-free environment, and most importantly, an honest environment. I'm hoping that by sharing my experiences and what I've learned throughout my entire mental health process, that it's going to help you. So, have a question, have a concern, have a comment, write it down below, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, and have a glorious day.